Good. So last week we talked about setting a goal, and this goal was just like kind of a miniature goal to work up to your big goal. And your overall goal is to be able to go to the gym 5 days a week. But to get there, we were talking about some barriers, being getting up early enough, and sometimes making sure you get to bed on time so you can get up early. And you wanted to leave the house by like 4 to get to the gym, so we were talking about setting a goal of being able to get to bed early so that you can get enough sleep to get up early and go to the gym.
Right.
So how is that going for you this week?
It's going pretty well. I haven't been consistently waking up at that time just because it's also a big goal and that I don't want to just like wake up at 4 every morning until I have to. I have tried planning a little bit so that I'm going to bed at a fairly consistent time. I'm probably going to bed at 9 or 10-ish right now. And then I know last week we had mentioned it, but going to the gym, I went to the gym once last week. I'm planning to go to the gym twice this week, and 3 and 4 until I get up to the 5. So with that being the case, then I can work at like easing my way into waking up at 4 in the morning almost every day, or however many days I need to. So
yeah, that sounds like a good idea to start doing that, maybe just so you're more effective in doing it, because going 5 days a week can be a lot, especially if you haven't been doing it for a while. So I think that's really great. So your goal is to go 2 days this week, right?
Right.
And you went 1 day last week.
Right.
Okay. And so we talked about too making a list of like strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to share this with me maybe?
Sure. Let me pull it up my phone.
Okay.
So one of the things on my list was trying to plan for 30 minutes. Planning for planning.
Planning for planning.
Like plan for 30 minutes before I go to bed for the next day. So I'm planning the next day's schedule the night before, in other words. Okay. And then that should help me probably like stay on track with things and be able to like set up a schedule for the next day so that I know what I'm doing. Another thing was to stop working on homework and things at like 9 o'clock because typically I'll just work on them until they get done. So I think that if I plan and then stop working at 9, if I'm planning time to work on it the next day, I should be able to go back to it and work on it and not feel the necessity to need to finish it that night. I'm hoping for that. And then also trying to turn off electronics at 9:30. So like not watching movies or anything like that would stay up past 9:30, or not being on Facebook or anything else for just electronics past that time. So those are, I think, my 3 biggest things on my list.
Okay. And so maybe we can go through and talk about each of these if you don't mind.
Okay.
So planning for 30 minutes before bed, planning to plan for your schedule the next day. So when you're planning the schedule, are you just planning like work and school stuff? Or are you planning like as far as like what time you're going to bed as well?
I would try to plan the time for going to bed and the time to work on school stuff, and like the amounts of times and at what time. So like going and making dinner at like 5, and then maybe doing homework at 6 or 7, and then going to bed at 9:30 or 10. Okay. So.
And do you feel like that's been working for you this past week while doing that?
I tried it once. It wasn't super effective, just because if my schedule gets pushed back, then like everything gets pushed back. And so like if maybe I didn't get home till 5:30, then that already pushed back my time to make dinner and eat until later, and like maybe I'm just overloading my schedule, I'm not sure. But that was one thing that I found to be a problem with it.
And so you think like maybe overloading your schedule is why that's not working, or
Maybe. And then I'm also just tired. And so, like, if I come home and I just don't feel like cooking, I might go sit down and then sit down for longer than I had intended to sit down. Or,
is there anything you can think of maybe that could help you make this strategy effective, or maybe make some changes to it?
Well, I do think planning it the night before is better than trying to plan it a week in advance, because then I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to need to do. Maybe not, I don't know, maybe changing it so instead of planning it the night before, I'm planning it like, maybe I won't plan at what time I'm going to do it, but just plan in general, oh, I'm going to work on this for an hour, and then not specifying what time I'm working on it at.
Okay.
That might be helpful.
So specify like the duration of how long
Yeah.
you're working on something, but not exactly what time.
Right.
Okay. And so moving on to your second strategy of stopping homework at 9 p.m. How has that been going?
I did it yesterday.
Okay.
And I did it all this weekend. So that was pretty good. But then again, it's also difficult if I have something to do that next day to just stop at 9 p.m. So I think it's going to take maybe doing more homework, especially in the first week or two, just so that I can like get caught up to the point where I'm working ahead instead of trying to catch up. So
Do you think that's going to be doable?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really will be, or if it'll just be a matter of just trying to stay on top of it. But I think that if I'm planning a time amount instead of planning a time, then I think that that might help in some ways. As long as I'm trying to get that done before 9, or maybe if I don't do it, planning a time the next day to work on it, like maybe an extra hour the next day, or an extra 30 minutes.
Okay, so again, just focusing on how long you're going to work on homework, and instead of exactly like what time.
Maybe.
And are you still going to maybe try to be done by 9? Is that going to be a goal?
I think that I should try to be done by 9. I think that that does help because it helps me settle down before going to bed. And then I can sleep better and wake up better the next morning. So I think it is important for me to stop by 9. It's just a matter of actually getting the stuff done that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so maybe just planning how long you're going to work on something, but still stopping by 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one you talked about was turning off electronics by 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been going well?
I tried it last night, and like it's not really like a phone problem that I have, but a lot of times I like to watch like Netflix or Hulu with my husband before we go to bed sometimes, and we didn't really get to do it all that day, so it's almost kind of like an unwinding type thing. But a lot of times those last longer than 30 minutes. It's like a 45-minute episode, or like, I don't know, it could be an hour long depending on what show we're watching. But, so that's a little bit difficult. But I'm not sure what to do to change that, because like we still want to watch things together. I don't know, maybe planning specific days to do that, but I don't know. I feel like maybe over planning is just as bad as under planning, because then if it's not doable, it's disappointing.
Right, and you don't want to be disappointed. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you're staying positive to reach your goal.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something you're still wanting to try, is electronics by 9:30, or do you want to make some changes to that strategy?
We could try maybe by like 9:50. So, okay, we just run it to 10. That's only 10 minutes. Again, I'm like trying to schedule that again. But that would give us time to like watch an episode, maybe,
At 10
but no
p.m.
more than that.
Okay, and so maybe I'm just going to kind of summarize what you told me, and then maybe you can come up with a plan or goal for this week.
Okay.
And so for planning, instead of planning for specific time to do things, you're just going to plan on how long you're doing them. And then as far as homework, you're going to plan more of a duration instead of having it by a certain time, but you're still going to try to aim to be done by 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then electronics, instead of 9:30, you're just going to give yourself until 10, just so you can give yourself a little extra time for those shows that may be taking a little bit longer than 30 minutes. So now do you want to maybe come up with a goal you think that you're going to try? Maybe
Out of the 3 of them,
or maybe just like combine together
Okay.
to help you achieve the goal of going to bed early, so you're getting up early enough.
Okay. So, as a goal, I could, the night before, plan how much time I'm going to spend on each subject to be done by 9 so that I can watch an episode if we want to, so I can be asleep by 10. That's like combining all of them. I hope that that's not too difficult to do. I feel like it should be fine. But
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, it seems reasonable. You're just kind of making adjustments to the things that you already tried that maybe were successful or maybe weren't as successful. And so just kind of tweaking those to maybe see if these strategies can still work, but just like in a little bit different way. So go ahead and work on that. And then when I see you next time, we can talk about if that was more effective this time.
Okay.
All right, thanks
Sounds
for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for helping me out.
Yeah, of course.